Hello students, in the last video we saw bonding in carbon and its related compounds. There we also found out that predominantly covalent bonding exists within that compounds. Now in this particular video we'll concentrate on allotropes of carbon. Allotropes are forms of same element with different physical properties but same chemical properties. Allotropes are generally divided into two kinds, crystalline and amorphous. Crystalline allotropes are the one whereby the constituting particles are arranged in definite order, for example diamond, graphite and fullerene, whereas amorphous allotropes are the ones whereby the constituting particles are not arranged in a definite order. For example, coal, coke, charcoal. The other thing you can note from the screen is with reference to the images. So as you can observe here, diamond and graphite both are able to produce luster. They are shining in nature. So that is a general characteristic property of crystalline compounds, whereas there is no shining or luster shown by the amorphous materials. After that, we'll move on the various allotropes of carbon and see them in detail one by one. Diamond is the hardest crystalline form of carbon. Each carbon atom here is linked to 4 other carbon atoms by strong covalent bonds forming a rigid three-dimensional structure. So you can observe here, this is one carbon atom linked to 4 other carbon atoms by strong covalent bonds. Each carbon-carbon bond distance is in the range of 154 picometers and the density of diamond is 3.5 gram per cubic centimeter. The other thing we can find out with the help of structure is there is no available free electron within the structure accommodating on the carbon atom. As we know, carbon is tetravalent in nature since it has 4 electrons in its outermost shell. And all those 4 electrons are being utilized in bond formation with the neighboring 4 carbon atoms. So there is no available free electron and so it is a bad conductor of electricity. It has a very high melting point in the range of 4000 degrees Celsius or more. Now let us move to the next allotrope. In case of graphite, each carbon atom is linked to 3 carbon atoms by covalent bonds resulting in hexagonal rings. As you can observe, the atom marked with this pink color. So this particular atom is linked with neighboring 3 other carbon atoms and there is a formation of hexagonal rings within the layers. Then these layers are further arranged one above the other within the chemical structure of graphite. Now, if you consider the valency of carbon, we know carbon is tetravalent. However, only 3 electrons are being utilized in the bond formation. So there is an extra electron available at each of the carbon atom, which satisfies the valency of carbon and because of which there is a double bond formation taking place between carbon and carbon. Is it clear with reference to that extra electron present over it? So there is a pi bond formation within the hexagonal rings which satisfy the valency of carbon. The other thing you can remember here is that 1 electron of each carbon atom is free to move within the structure. As a result, it is a good conductor of electricity, right? Then about the bond lengths, carbon-carbon bond length is in the range of 141.5 picometers and the distance between the 2 layers is in the range of 340 picometers. The distance between the layers is 340 picometers and the force of attraction which hold this layer together is a weaker intermolecular or weaker force of attraction existing. This weak force of attraction is termed as van der Waals force of attraction. You can get the details about this van der Waals force of attraction in the upcoming videos. However, at this particular instance of time, you just need to remember that there is a certain weaker force of attraction existing between the layers which are present one above the other, right? And this is termed as van der Waals force of attraction. Is it clear? Then next thing we can justify is it is smooth and slippery or greasy in nature. Why? Because as we can see from the structure, there is a weak force of attraction between the layers, which results in the greasy nature of graphite. Is it okay? So that's about graphite. After that, let's move to the next allotrope. Next important allotrope of carbon is fullerenes. Chemically, fullerenes are formed by combination of large number of carbon atoms, as you can observe from the image here. The first identified fullerene was C60. Its structure resembled to that of buckyball or the football, soccer ball, and so it was also commonly termed as buckyballs. These buckyballs were found to have 12 5-membered rings and 20 6-membered rings. So you can observe here, these are the 6-membered rings, 6 atoms in combination with each other. Similarly, this ring you can observe here, whereby the 5 atoms are in combination with each other. So there is a formation of how many 5-membered rings? 12 5-membered rings and 20 6-membered rings in case of C60 type of fullerene. However, later on, various other types of fullerene like C70, C72, C90 and so on were identified and studied in detail. As far as the name fullerene is concerned, it is honored or it is given on due to US architect whose name was Richard Buckminster Fuller. He was a famous architect and he was famous for his geodesic dome. He is commonly famous for his geodesic dome, and the structure of the geodesic dome just looks like this particular chemical structure which is available with us. And so the name was suggested, fullerene. Is it clear? So that's about the concept of fullerene. The other thing you can note in this particular case is all the carbon atoms which are observed in this case are found to be equivalent. They are all same and are both connected with the help of single as well as double bonds. The carbon single bond carbon bond length is 145.3 picometers, whereas the carbon double bond carbon bond length is found to be in the range of 138.3 picometers. Right? So that's about fullerenes, and that's about the complete explanation of allotropes of carbon. Thank you for watching.